Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Taylor Combaluzier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. Today's webinar features West Mining, which is focused on advancing its flagship Kena project, where it holds a 100% interest. Kena project is located in the Nelson Mining District in southeast British Columbia and has total indicated and inferred resources of over 3.3 million ounces of gold. The property is also highly prospective for copper. Today, I have with me on the webinar Nick Houghton, President, CEO, and Director at West Mining. The format of today's webinar will be comprised of two parts. In the first part, Nick will provide an update on West Mining, including the results to date from the drilling program at the Kena Gold Project and what work is in store for 2022. Additionally, he'll discuss the company's recent option agreement to earn into 100% of the Blue Cove copper property in Newfoundland. In the second part of the webinar, we'll take your questions live. So please send us your questions using the chat function and we'll get to as many as we can. To start, we'll handle the disclosures and then get into the presentation. So for West Mining, there may be some forward-looking statements made on this call. I direct listeners to the cautionary note on page 2 of the West Mining corporate presentation located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities Inc., I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. And we note that this call does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and seek their own professional advice before investment. Please refer to our most recent research located on our website for West Mining specific disclosures. So with that out of the way, I'll turn it over to Nick to introduce you to West Mining and what you have to look forward to at the company.
Taylor, thank you very much. And I'd just like to welcome everybody who's joined us for the webinar. And it'll give me a great pleasure to give you the overview of West Mining and exactly where the company stands, exactly what the company has, and exactly where the company wants to go. And I would think that most of you are familiar with West Mining, and those of you who are not familiar with West Mining, hope you find this interesting, and we'll see where we go from there. So no further ado, I will take over the slide presentation, and I'm going to run you through the latest deck and the latest information that we can present to you. So obviously West Mining, as we see, gorgeous picture. We're going to move through the cautionary statements. I think we've all seen this before, and so moving straight on along. About West Mining Corp. West Mining Corp basically came into trading a year, maybe 12 months, 14 months ago. A friend of mine, a couple of my associates, we took over a shell company, and we had the ability to attain the Kena gold and copper property. At that particular time, it was Kena, it was Daylight, and it was Athabasca. It was 3 projects. So where we see we are sort of situated down in southeast British Columbia, and the company also has 2 other projects, Spanish Mountain and the Yunka. You can also note from the press releases that we've just executed an LOI, which I am very happy to report has now been confirmed into a fully exercised option agreement on the Blue Cove property in Newfoundland, a copper prospect, which I will tell you more about as we move forward. The Kena project. The Kena project, as mentioned, is down by the Selmo Nelson area. So what did we achieve last year? Let's go over last year's achievements quite quickly. Okay, so we completed the upgrade of the 43101 resource estimate, all independently done. This will become up later. We ran a diamond drilling program. We put 8 holes into the Great Western Zone. We've expanded upon the resource. Those resource figures do not reflect in the 43101. We put in 6 holes and we discovered a new copper porphyry zone in the Starlight. These results are coming through. To finish it off, we had 7 holes in the Kena copper, assays pending, metallurgical holes, assays pending. The present, I think we all know that the labs are completely backed up. It was a very, very busy season exploring not only in British Columbia, Canada, but also Mexico and the other regions. And the laboratories are swamped. We have done mapping and prospecting, and the reasoning for the mapping and prospecting is to firm up historic information that we had regarding Athabasca, Princess, California, and some projects that we added on to Kena. So we are situated in what we like to call the Golden Arc. If I can use the telestrator, and so this is great because it only gives me, there we go. So if we look at this, this is where we have the project is around this area here. And previously, historic production has been in this area and historic production down here. This is Rossland. It's a short drive. It's about a half-hour drive from the end of our project. And it has produced previously 22 million ounces plus of gold. Sheep Creek has produced 1.3 million ounces of gold. And we tend to see the same geological formations coming through. Strong geological trends, multiple historic small miners have been producing in the past. And what we do really like to see is this historicness about it. The project we have, just clear this, the project we see here is 20 kilometers long. Now, in this top corner, you have in green, we have the Athabasca. To the eastern side, we have here, this is daylight, this is Athabasca, the rest of it here is Kena. Previously, these had never been held under one company. What we did, we actually assimilated, we put all these historic projects together. What this enables us to do is to gather 40 to 50 years of data all under one roof, never done before. Where we are situated, as you can see, we have excellent infrastructure, paved highways, rail, electric, everything that's required. Just down the road in Trail, there is the Cominco smelter. So for a project to go into production, everything points in that right direction as we move forward. Let's just give you an overview of this Kena project. So as you can see from this, hopefully it's a little bit clear on your screen, I'm not too sure. The entire project has got gold and copper from the tip at the north to the southern base down at Gold Cup. Now, what had happened previously, the southern area, which I can quickly draft up through here, this southern area that comes around there, had never been flown. It had never been worked. It had never been, we had no knowledge of it. So what we did, one of the first initiations we did, we flew a mag over it. And we've realized that the mineralogy, as you can see highlighted, flows all the way through our project. Reasons it was not done before was it was heavily, it's a heavily treated area. It has been logged and we now have access to it. What we also have here is historic. You can see these gold values. We have 240 grams of gold over 1.23 meters, 172 grams over 2 meters. We've had over 40,000 meters of drilling. Everywhere we put a drilling, we've come up with some mineralization. Everywhere we've explored, we've got mineralization. It's exciting to see that a project has got mineralization, I say, from the northern tip to the southern borders of 20 kilometers. As we mentioned, we updated our resource earlier on in the year. Now, what we have, there is actually people say, well, you've got a very low grade using a cutoff of 0.25. This is correct. At 0.25 cutoff, we have 2.3 million ounces of gold inferred and we have 561,000 ounces of indicated. There's one reason we use this. We can sort of use a lower cutoff. The mineralization runs all the way through. We have got high grade. We've got some very good numbers we'll see later. But around this high grade, it's just a continuation of more gold. So consequently, there's very little waste rock. There is always something in there. And this is just due to the formation of the project. Even if we take it to a 0.5 gram cutoff, we're still looking at 1.7 million ounces of inferred and indicated. So we have got a stronger project than people tend to realize. That 43101 is only based upon approximately 12% of the project's area, and is just based around this area here. You can see that there is a far greater area to be explored. We own this property 100%. There is NSRs upon it, but West Mining is clear owner of 100%. We have no debt, we have money in the bank, and we can push forward. If we look here at some of the highlights from the 43101, these numbers are historic numbers. These numbers are not being released in press releases. You know, you have to look and go through the data to find it. You know, there's companies having great success at the present releasing similar numbers to this. The fact of the matter is, we have taken over a project which had the money spent on it and produced these numbers. The highlighted ones here are all above 1 gram gold per ton. And we're looking at some great widths, with the shortest being at 56 meters, and then we've got 175, 179 meters, 156, 186. You know, you start to realize that simply because we are not putting out press releases regarding this doesn't mean that we haven't got this. And this is tend to go in under the radar when people look at West Mining. Let me just give you a quick overview of the resource and everything that has built this 43101 and has given us these 3.3 million indicated ounces and inferred. It runs along here. Now, if we start to look at this, there is our 0.25 cutoff, which is all the way through, and it runs all the way through this area here continually, even as we hit higher numbers of the 0.5s. Let's look at this slide here. Again, these cutoff numbers are running consistently all the way through. What we did find in the shoulder period over the Christmas, November, December this year, we went back through and we started to look at the drill data and we started to look at historic results. And we thought, you know, let's run these numbers again with some different formulations, some different analyticals. And we've realized that we have this 300-meter trend highlighted here, which comes through the area of this side here, this Gold Mountain area. Now, let's start to look at the numbers on this one. We've started to see this. This is running at about 1 gram per ton, along with the 0.5 grams and the 0.25s. As we go to this next slide, you're going to realize why this is important. Through running these numbers again, we've realized there is a high-grade gold corridor associated with this 300-meter area. This high-grade gold corridor is proven up through these drill results. And if we look at these numbers here, these yellow dots, the red dots, we're looking at plus 10 grams a ton, plus 5 grams a ton. These start to be logistic numbers again that we can't report them historically. These are what we have. But let's look at this basic reconnaissance here. We've got 2 meters at 12. Okay, we've got a meter 23 at 240. Absolutely fabulous, thanks to the drillers. But let's look at this consistency of 2 meters, 4 meters, 2 meters. You know, these are numbers that we don't need to report. It's historic. We haven't got these drilled assay results. This is data we have on hand. This is numbers that we know we already have. Now, this particular trend we are talking about is through here. This is the 300 meters that I have discussed. If you look, this trend runs north and it runs south. This trend is running 1 kilometer either side. It has to be drilled. This upcoming drill season, we intend to put some holes into it. Now, I'm not saying this is a high-grade gold corridor all the way through. What I'm saying is there is a very good chance, there is high potential that we're going to see some good numbers as we go forward through our drill season. as we've looked at here, we've seen the gold mounting and we see Kena. This is where our resource is up on this particular section here. We stepped out and we started to drill and we started to look, you know what? We know we have some copper numbers through here. Why don't we go in and why don't we start to look at what we have? Also, through this section here, which is starlight and daylight, we stepped out to increase our gold numbers. We stepped out because we know we've got gold on this side. We want to see where does this gold go to. Now, again, we've got great numbers, 266 at 6 grams. We've got 3 grams. We've got 0.8 grams. These numbers don't go away. They're historic. This is our numbers, 100% known. What we did find, as we actually did step out, we now moved into a secondary copper zone. Again, a new discovery on our own, on all of our project. So we have a new copper zone here, and we have a copper zone over here. Let me move on to this next slide, and maybe I can sort of reiterate a bit further for you. We did geochemistry. We did the geochemistry through a new look, and what we've done is we confirmed that, yes, we knew we had gold all the way through here. It is our resource. It is proven up. Well, it's not proven up, I apologize. It's indicated and inferred at that 3.3. We also knew we had gold over here because we've drilled it. This particular area here was a surprise where we came across the copper. This area down here, the Kena copper, has also showed us gold. So in the geochem, we fully expected it. Then we run the geochem. Why don't we see, why do we get this copper number up here? And now it's quite obvious. When we run the geochemistry, there's this copper area showing up. Here's the Kena copper zone showing up. This is a big area. This is determined to have more work to us. A bonus to this running of the geochem again is this particular area down here. As you can see, it's outside of the resource and it shows up as a new copper discovery possibility. Again, this is called the Digium zone. It is on our property. This is on the area that we have access to get to the higher land. This can be drilled quite soon. These 3 areas are super exciting for the copper. This area through here is super exciting to expand upon this high gold corridor through here. I'm going to take you to the next slide. This is where we hit the copper on the starlight zone. Unfortunately, the numbers you see here may be a little fuzzy. I would like to ask you to go onto our website later on and you can see this presentation maybe a little clearer. But our drill results started to show that we had gold through here. And then these indications, these sort of signatures that we found at depth give us a very strong indicator that, yes, there is this new copper porphyry, again, discovered to our surprise on the starlight zone. All these things, all these numbers are just pushing us towards an extremely strong project. The Kena copper zone. I just want to, we are still waiting. As I mentioned earlier, the labs are pretty much backed up. Our assays are pending. I don't really know a CEO who's particularly happy at the moment, except for the one way to look at this is we haven't got the results back that could have been lost in the downside to the market. The upside of this is our results are pending and we start to see some strengthening actually in copper and in gold. So visually, the core looks absolutely fantastic. And these are with the lab at the present, and we're waiting for our results. Again, this is the Kena copper zone sitting on our project. We have, obviously, as I've mentioned, identified this copper area here, sitting here. All these, this copper is going to add. This copper is going to give us a balance to the information we already know of the 3.3 million ounces inferred and indicated of our gold. We have been very successful with the drill company. The drill company that we've managed to bring back has drilled for us over previous years. And what this means is we can hit the ground running. The drill company on hand actually reside in Selmo, which is just outside the project. I probably have the least expensive drill contract for anybody who's drilling at the moment. We don't have to run a camp. We don't have to mob in and mob out. The lads can actually sleep in their own bed in the evenings. Extremely proficient. It's a pleasure to work with them. It really is. This is the entire project, from the North Athabasca to the south at Golden Cup. What we need to highlight here is these historic numbers. As I've mentioned, the area we're in is part of the old gold rush. If you go to Selmo and if you go to Nelson, there are those historic buildings from 1895 to 1905, the town hall and everything, which was built by these miners. Now, the area up here, this is Athabasca. If you start to look, it's produced 20,000 tons at 31 grams a ton. Right down the southern area here, Gold Cup. Gold Cup, small artesian mining, just 24 tons at 51 grams per ton. But what it shows you is all the way through the project, we have mineralization. What this shows you on this particular section here, as you start to see this deeper area, is why we hit the gold and then we start to see the copper. So I just want to sort of let people know that this is a very robust property which is under West Mining's umbrella. Let me just clear that and we'll move on. Where does the company sit? Doesn't sit very well. Let's be absolutely honest about it. Excuse me. So we can look at this chart. We can look at our peer group. We can look at Casio. We can benchmark. Companies are doing fantastic. Possibly people say it's a different style of resource. It's this, that, and the other. If we move the radar, if we move the needle on our cutoff, things start to look a little bit more similar. These particular companies are doing excellent. They're trading around $1. What does this tell you for West Mining? Well, what this tells you for West Mining is if we look at this, not in the negative way, let's look at this in a positive way. Here's our average that we're looking at $50 an ounce ground. We're looking at 4 cents. Now, we haven't got to go out and drill this off. We haven't got to go out and find the gold. We know it's there. We have the 43101 resource that tells us what we have. All we have to do is expand upon it. And we have to prove up that that 43101 indicated and inferred is actually larger than it is. The potential this year is to move the needle further and take the indicated and inferred, hopefully up to around a 4 million stage, 4.5. What we'll also be doing this year is building upon a copper. Again, this is our program as we move forward. So we're going to do an MT survey. This is going to be done upon the Kena copper zone. This is basically down a hole, it's deep, and is probably one of the best ways to realize a deep porphyry. It is the most inexpensive way. You don't have to run and you get results back extremely detailed very soon. We'll do magnetics over the gold areas to firm up that. We intend to do 5,000 meters at least of drilling. You see on the Kena copper zone, we want a couple of deep holes in there. We want to put a couple of holes down, 800,000 meters. Let's see what's into that porphyry number. We will be expanding along that gold resource along strike. It's open at strike, it's open at depth. We want to trace the high gold corridor. Again, open at depth, open strike length all the way along. And we want to see what is in that newly found copper zone at Starlight. Also, we will be putting a couple of holes into the Digium zone on the way in to see what is in those copper readings. So potentially, we've got a very, very exciting season coming up. All of this drill season and the work is paid for. We have money in the bank. We have no debt on the project. Everything is accounted for and we can go forward. This moves us to our latest acquisition. This is the Blue Cove project in Newfoundland. Now, people say west goes east. Why are we going east? Well, fact of the matter is Newfoundland's an excellent mining jurisdiction. The opportunity came up to have a look, let's say, and do some sampling programs on this prospective, but very, very exciting Blue Cove area. As we see, it has very strong similarities to the Kena project. You know, it has a sniff of gold, but it has some excellent copper numbers at 5.1%. It's 21 kilometers long. The accessibility is fabulous, and it comes with an extremely knowledgeable and I'll say crew well versed in this project. We have the right to earn, again, a 100% of this project through a 4-year option agreement. You'll notice this is the way West Mining works. We like to be the owner. We want to move it forward. We can then look to somebody to come in and assist us from the mid-tier section because we have that playability. We have the ownership under our umbrella. To present, this project has not had that much work on it, completely underexplored. But let's start to see these numbers. We start to see there's copper hits all the way through. We start to realize that, what is this? Is this an IOCG? We can't put words into anybody else's mouth, but we are very, very excited to hit the ground running on this and start working on it. Just to give you an example of what we have got on this project, 5,800 hectares, 235 claims, significant potential. Let's just look at the exposure here on the wall. Fabulous. Let's just say this is 2 meters. Here is basically the prospectus here. We have these exposures where we have outcrops all the way across this project. We will be going in to define a little bit more of it. It's wide open for exploration. The exploration is never easy, and it's always a challenge. But what you tend to do is you back up the data, you back up the knowledge you have. And so when you do actually go in to do your drill season, again, it's targeted. It's not just punting it out there. I'll quickly run through the management team. Myself, I've been around the block, and I want to thank you for listening to me, even though my accent is a little strong. CFO Addy, we're fully understanding of public companies. I've been involved in many aspects to it myself with financing and actually taking a project from grassroots into production. Very strong backup with myself. I have Luke Montaigne, Alex Clement, and Andrew Lee Smith. We've all worked for many years together. My advisory board, John Merco, I think is very familiar to the people, not only just in British Columbia mining, but overall mining in general. Had a huge success with Wiesler. Lawrence Rolson, extremely smart as far as strategic advice as we are moving forward. A quick view at the share structure. Issued outstanding, we're looking at approximately the 60 million mark. Warrants, I will go into shortly, around about 33 million. Give us this fully diluted figure here of 97 million. Now, let me just emphasize this warrant number. There's a very big chunk of warrants here that sits at 35 and 40 cents. Now, people are going to say, how shall we go forward? What do you need as far as money? Are we going to be doing any private placements? Hopefully what you've seen over the presentation makes you realize that West Mining is undervalued, that West Mining can get to that next stage, that West Mining can actually move up the ladder as far as share prices. If we can do this, the exercising of 35-cent warrants would actually bring in approximately $5 million into the treasury. Those 40-cent warrants, if these were exercised, it would be another $1.5 million into the treasury. The beauty of exercising warrants is you're now working with shareholders who believe in your story, who are familiar with your story, who want to see you go forth. What this would do, it would take our fully diluted and outstanding to the 97. Also within these warrants are 60 and 78 cents. I am possibly under the belief that if these were exercised, would be absolutely manna from heaven. I think these will possibly fade away, and it would actually tighten up our fully diluted to around about 90 million, but with a very, very strong treasury. Please feel free to contact me. Here's my email address. Here's my phone number. I am open to discuss anything with anybody. I love to engage with shareholders. I love to discuss the project. We are very proud of the project. We are very proud of what we've been able to put together. We are very proud to move forward and be excited about what we can find. As we know, we will be expanding upon the resource, and we'll be putting some deeper holes into that copper zone. So as we do push forward, as far as news coming in the next 2 or 3 months, we have got assay results coming through that are pending from 4 months ago, which are going to lead us, give us the information to back up the historic data from the Euphrates all the way down to Gold Cup. Will give us some exciting news regarding the expansion on the gold, and also exciting news on that copper zone. So what I want to do now is I just want to thank you for listening to me drone on possibly, listening to me be very excited about my project, and throw it back to Taylor and throw it open to anybody who has any questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them.
Great. Thank you very much, Nick. That was a great presentation. So we'll turn now to the Q&A session, and just a reminder to everybody on the line that you can type in your questions at any time. So we have some that have come in. I guess the first one more on the corporate side, just, if maybe you can get a bit more specific with how much cash you have in the treasury right now. I know you are funded for the work plan for this year.
Yeah, certainly. At the present, we've got approximately 3 million in our treasury. The drill season we're proposing to do, working with my geologist, my VP exploration, Linda Dandy, it is penciled in. We do know where we stand. We actually have got our contractor, our drill under contract, which is absolutely fabulous. So the 5,000 meters looking due, we're probably going to be spending at around about the $1 million to $1.2 million range. Now, as we all know, with a drill program, we also then have exploration numbers have to go for assaying and everything else. So we believe we're looking at an overall program per se of around about 1.5, 1.6 sort of range. G&A, everything else we covered at around about the 2.5, 300,000 range, including awareness, getting people out, let people understand. So that also takes us to Blue Cove. We have expanded on Blue Cove basically because it is a entry into Newfoundland at quite an expensive rate, and the project over there at the moment is we only need to spend 100,000 on it this year. So as far as exploration seasons going and everything else, we're looking at around about 1.8, and we have, as I say, that sort of 3 million range in the bank.
Perfect. Okay. Next up, that did answer kind of partially answered one of the next questions, kind of on the drilling lined up at Kena. Do you have the kind of start date for when you're looking to get drills turning?
Yes, certainly. As we all fully understand, it can be weather. It is weather dependent. I mean, you have to get in. And it's not so much. It's getting the accessibility. We can all drill in, in snow, but it's getting the accessibility through the roads to get in there, the logging trails. So, you may remember I alluded to an area which we've called the Digim Zone. Now, that Digim Zone is completely underexplored, and it is on the route into the higher elevations. The beauty of the Digim Zone is the actual snow clears quite early there. So in theory, we could actually start a drill season sort of late April. We could put some holes into the Digim Zone. We can get this core out. We can get the core into the laboratory before the seasonal rush starts, per se. And then from there, we'll move into Starlight. Then we'll move into the Copper Zone. So we have this ongoing. So we'd look to start towards the end of May, the end of April, start of May. From there, we'll move into then the sort of late May, June period. And then we can drill all the way through till September. So it's accessible. We know where our drill pads are. We know when we go into the Copper Zone, exactly the area we want to go into to expand upon it. Again, beauty of this drill program we hit the ground running. There is no wasted money doing any exploration, any field trips to find out where we want to go. This data is on hand. 50 years of data, 50 years of drilling that has been previously completed by all the other companies is in our possession. So again, we can hit it running, saves on cost, saves on time, gets the drill core and results into the lab expeditedly, quickly.
Perfect. And in terms of exploration lined up for 2022 at Kena, is there anything you mentioned as well that doing some geophysical surveys? Is there any kind of other work that you'd be doing kind of in the background, like any additional mapping or sampling that needs to be done, or really just focusing on the drilling and at this point?
At present, the field season is basically it's going to be drilling, and it's going to be firming up that resource, and it's going to be expanding and finding out about the copper. The gold corridor, which has given us high numbers, that's very exciting. I mean, that is just exciting to put a couple of deep holes into the Copper Zone, because, as I've said, that has the potential to be a kilometre width either way. So that area is going to be extremely exciting. So this rich corridor that is firmed up, and we know it from the data, that can have some holes in it. So what we have coming through is we've done mapping and sampling on the previous year. 2021 was mapping and sampling to look at Athabasca and to look at the Gold Cup area. 2022 is to firm up the Gold Cup area, to firm up that high-grade gold corridor and also the copper porphyry zones.
Okay, perfect. So with that, you mentioned the, firming up the resource. Is there any kind of timeline that you're working towards to put out an updated resource at this point, or is it just seeing kind of how it goes at this point, and you'll make that assessment down the line a bit?
Can you phone the lab? Can you? You know what? I'd love to be able to update the resource tomorrow. I can't. And you know as well as I do, it's not an overnight job to say, here's some more numbers, put it in. It takes time. If we can sort of get that resource number updated by the end of the field season from the information we got from last year and from work which we've sort of reassessed over the Christmas and shoulder period, excellent. Those are in the hands that I can't control, and we just sort of go with the flow on that. I do know that it will be expanded upon. I just can't give you the numbers. I'm sorry about that. The crystal ball broke. The crystal ball got broken. It's been repaired, but I think it's in about 5 months. So. Okay, great.
Let's turn to Blue Cove now, and have a couple questions on that. Do you have permits in hand for that yet, or is that a work that needs to be completed?
Nope.
Since you just got the.
All permits are in hand for Blue Cove. In fact, you noticed on Friday's press release that the option agreement is fully executed, and so we are moving forward with that project. It's no longer a non-binding LOI. We have actually sort of consummated per se, and moving forward with that. I'm not sure, but let me give you the weather forecast. Newfoundland is having a very green winter. We could actually go in and start work on it as we speak. What you do find with Newfoundland, the green winter can turn very white in a heartbeat. So I don't want to send out my crew to start work and then have the weather change. We could be in. If we see that there is a weather window based upon a forecast of maybe a good clear patch of 10 days, we could get in there, start to do some work. It's very accessible. We could basically camp out. There's cabin, there is accommodation there. We can do that sampling work. Now, if we do flick the switch and go on that, then obviously the results will come through quicker. We could actually then start to see, well, do we want to put an exploration hole in there later in the season? These things have to be decided. What we do like, and what I really adore about this, is the terrain is easily walkable. Terrain is easy to sort of navigate through. Sampling can be done quite easily, quite quickly over those highly prospective areas, and we can start to firm up the numbers, again, that are in the historic data. It all takes time. We're not going to just go running willy-nilly into it, like a run down to the fence and get going. We want to go in. We've got a fantastic sort of geological team over there on hand. It's not going to take away anything from the geological crew we have in British Columbia. None of the funds will sort of be diverted over there. It's $100,000 we have to spend. That money's in the bank. It's not going to take anything away from Kena. Kena is still going ahead, full on, full pace, 100% owned. That is our flagship. The Blue Cove offers us so much potential that we couldn't turn down the opportunity. We couldn't turn down that project. Again, we have that 100% ownership earning. That's the way we like to structure projects. The blue sky on that project is tremendous. This can start to build a base metal portfolio based upon our gold portfolio, all under the West umbrella. What we have at West is, I've alliterated probably, you've heard it a couple of times, 3.3 million ounces in inferred and indicated. We have a high-grade gold corridor to be expanded upon. Coupled with that, we've got the potential of a large copper porphyry at Kena and in British Columbia. Copper has strengthened. It's softened over the last 4 months. People say, oh, it's going to come off. With the amount of copper that's required going forth, and let's not look at a year, let's look at over the next 5-10 years. We've all heard far smarter people than me telling us electrification's coming and it's no stopping it. There's a shortage of copper. Now, I'm not telling you that West is a copper company. It's not. West is a gold company with the possibilities of the burgeoning copper market to find added perspectives for our portfolio. What we're building is an extremely strong base. Copper is a requirement. It's not going away. We have copper in British Columbia, and we hope to have copper in Newfoundland. We've also got gold. What this does, it strengthens the company overall. The exploration that has been done previously is going to be built upon. The prospecting in Newfoundland is going to give us added benefits to the shareholder. We have money in the bank, we have targets, and we have 2 geological crews extremely well versed in the 2 projects they're going to be working on. We're excited. We're going to work hard. We have to make sure that the shareholders see benefit for their investment. That's my job. The Geo team have got their job, and we all work in unison, so we will be strengthening the company going forward.
Perfect. That was a great answer and kind of outlining the strategy for the company there. Very much appreciated. So, I think that probably is a great way to kind of wrap up the webinar on that. It looks like we are out of questions at this point, and we're getting close to the hour. So, I think great point to end on there. So I'd like to thank Nick from West Mining for taking the time today to host the webinar with Red Cloud Securities. And thank you to everybody on the line for tuning in with us today.
Taylor, thank you very much. And I just want to wish everybody thanks for joining in. All the best.